All right, let's have a look at doing this transition piece over here. You can see that I've got a circular hole at the top and a square hole at the bottom. All right, so what we're going to do now is break that up into 12 equal parts. I've labeled it number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can see I've transferred those numbers up to the top over here. So I've got 1, 2 and 12 on that point, 3 and 11 on that point, 10 and 4, 9 and 5, 8 and 6 and 7 over there. That's linked up with those numbers over there. And I've got these points down at the bottom over here, which I need to just transfer. That is B, A, and E, all on that corner over there. You can see that, B, A, and E over there. And I have got C and D over here. Right, okay, if we come over here, we can have a look-see over here. It says that we need to use this line over here as the seam that we're going to weld together at the end. And if you look at it, it is parallel to the XY axis. If I've got a line that is parallel to the XY axis over here, this length over here going from A to 1 is going to be a true length straight away. Now that's the part that we need to put in, and so I can take that true length straight off there. There we go, and pop that onto this line. I put this line at a 60-degree angle over here. Just make a little mark over there, and that line is my line 1A. Right, I'm just going to pop that in very quickly over here, going from 1A over there. Right, the next thing is we need to start looking at these distances that we've got over here. I've got number 1. Do I have a number B that I can link up with number 1 and with number A? Yes, I do. So step number 1 is to say, all right, I've got my number 1 up at the top over here. I have got an A down at the bottom over here, and I'm going to go, this over here is a true length distance. AB is a true length distance. Why? Because that is a point view over there of AB. So I take that AB distance, I go over here, and I scribe a little arc coming around. Now, somewhere along that arc, I have got that distance B, but I need to find out exactly how far away from 1 it is. Now, if you look over here, I've got a distance going from B to 1 over there. I've got a distance of B going to 1 over there. Neither of those two lines are true lengths because neither of them are parallel to the XY axis. So, first of all, I need to take this distance over here from B going to 1 over there. I pop that down over here, and I will have a distance going from B up to 1 over there. You can see this distance that I've got over here. Let me just show you that. There's the true height distance over there, the true height of the object distance over there, and you'll see that I labeled that 1 going all the way through to 12. All those numbers are at the same height. So a distance from 1 going down to B, that is a true length distance over there. I can now take that and I can say, brilliant, I've got that true length distance. I've got number 1 over there. I know somewhere along that arc there's a B, so if I arc over there, I will have a distance going from 1 to B. I can draw in that distance going from there to there, and I don't need to draw in this line over here, okay? Just a little construction line. I'm just going to use some color so you can see this. I've got that brown color over there, going from there to there. Right, the next thing is to go, well, where is number 2? Now, in all the other drawings that you've done, you would have taken that distance over there and popped it down onto this point over here, drawn a little arc. The problem with that is that it's not an accurate measurement. So what I did over here was I worked out the circumference. I said C, circumference 2 pi r, or pi d, pi diameter, and that is circumference multiplied by the circumference is equal to pi multiplied by the 35 millimeter diameter, which gives me 109.95. Okay, so I've measured that out as accurately as I could, and I then broke that line up into 12 equal spaces. So in other words, that distance over there is the most accurate measurement that I can get for doing this next thing. So I'm going to take that measurement, just to take my pair of compasses over here. I'm going to set that very, very accurately, and I make a little arc over here. So there we go. Somewhere along that little arc, I'm going to have 0.2. Do I have a true length distance going from B to 2 over here? You'll see that that's at an angle, that's at an angle, so that's none of those are true lengths. I need to take this distance over here from B to 2, and I then pop that in over there, and I have now got a distance of B going to 2. So I can now say, all right, get that measurement over there, get that accurately. I have this point over here. We said that that was B over there. Take that over here, mark that off, and I've just found my position 2. Right. I'm not going to draw a line straight across there because you're going to see that this is going to end up being a bit of an arc. All right, I've got position 2 over there. I now need to say, all right, do I have a distance from 2 to 3? Yes, I do. I've got a distance from 2 to 3, and I can take that. Remember, that distance was the same as this distance over here, 2 to 3. Draw a little arc over there. Do I have a distance of B to 3? You'll note that B to 3 is exactly the same as 2 to 3. All right, that distance from there to there is the same. So I can go over here and I can mark that off, and I'll end up with 3. Okay, so that was that distance over there, and I've now marked that off, so I've got 0.3. Do I have a true length distance of 3 to 4? Then I can get off this story over here. 3 going to 4. Make a little arc over there. Do I have a true length distance of B to 4? Now, if you look at this, that distance from there to there is the same distance as that from there to there. So I can go B going to 4 over there. Slightly more. There we go. And pop that up over here. And I now have position number 4 over there. Right. Do I have a true length distance of 4 to 5? Yes, I do. I have a distance going from 4 to 5, so I can go over here. Right. My problem is that I don't know how to link up that 5. Note, I don't have anything going from B to 5. But I can work out over here that I have got a true length distance of BC. That's parallel, therefore that's a true length distance. So I can come over here and I can say, oh, there is the true length distance of B going to C. I have B. I can mark that off over there. All right. And I now have a position 4 over there. Do I have a true length distance of B of 4 going down to C? You'll see that it's the same as this length B, B4 or B1. All right. And I've got that over here. I can go over there, and I can go to position 4 now and mark that off, and I will then have the distance of B going to C over here. B going to C, all right? I can now say, all right, do I have a true length distance of C going to 5? Yes, I do. That's that distance over there. C going to 5, and I now have 5 over there, and that would be C over there. Right, once I've got that in place, I can then say, all right, I need to get a true length distance of 5 going to 6. 5 going to 6, that will be the same as this distance over here. 5 going to 6 over here. 5 going to 6 would be one of these lines over here. So I need to take that distance over there. Wind that back a little bit. There we go. 5 going to 6, that will be there. Label that as 6. Right. I have a true length distance of 6 going to 7. That's this distance over here. 6 going to 7. Right. I need to take a true length distance of this over here. Just winding that out a little bit. And there is 6 going to 7 over there. Okay. 7 going to 8, we're not going to do that just yet. We're going to get this distance of CD. Note, it's a point view over there, therefore I've got a true length over here. True length C to D, true length C to D. Draw a nice little arc going over there. Do I have a true length distance of 7 to D, that would be the same as this B1 over here, so I can take that distance from there to there, and I now go from 7 going to D. There is D. Right, take my true length distance of 7 going to 8, that I take off here, come over here, 7 going to 8, that would be that little arc over there. 8 is this blue line over here, so I take this distance over here, go to D over there, mark that off. There we've got 0.8 over there. All right, 8 going to 9, that is this distance over here, take that to 8, mark that off. Do I have a true length distance of, that's the blue length over there, so I've got that already, take that, knock that in over there, and I have got 0.9 over there. Right, next one is 9 to 10, take that, measure that off, and I have a true length distance of this over here, slightly further out than that blue line. There we go, and mark that off. I have got 0.10 over there. Okay, I now need to go 10 to E. All right, so I have this line which goes from C to D. I'm going to try and find E now. E is a true length distance over here. DE over there, find D over here, mark a nice arc over there, and I need to get a true length distance going from 10 down to E. I can get that off here, take that from there to there, go from 10 to E, and I can draw in E over there. There is E, drawing a line going from 10 to E over here. There we go. Right. The next thing is to go 10 to 11. I need to take my true length distance off there. Go 10 to 11, little arc over there. 10 to 11 is a blue line over here. That's that distance over there. Take that E, mark that off. There is 11 over there. Okay. Right, I need a true length distance between 11 and 12. Go over here, between 11 and 12. And I need a same true length distance off here, 11 to 12. That would be there. And I have got 12 over there. Right, and the last one is 12 going to 1. I've got a true length distance, which I get off here, 12 going to 1. Take that. Mark that off over there, and I need a true length distance, which is the brown one, going from there up to there. Just extend that a little bit and go over here, and I have got number 1 over there, right? And you can see that I've got 1 going all the way through to 1 over there. I can link this up with a line going over here. And at the end of the day, I can now go dot, 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 just between all of these points over here. And I could use a French curve if I wanted to, or I could just freehand this in. I'm just going to freehand. There we go. That will be a nice, beautiful arc going around like this. Let's just get myself more comfortable, and there we go. That's that done. Note, I can draw in all of these little lines over here. So I've got a blue line going to there, a blue line going to there, an orange line going to there, right? I then have an orange line going down to there. I have a blue line going to there. I've got a blue line going to there, and an orange line going to, whoops, there. Right, and then a orange line going to there. and then a blue line. Oops, let's just get my game together here. A blue line going to there, a blue line going to there, and an orange line going to there. All right, and then a orange line going from there to there, and then a blue line going from there to there, and there to there, and there we go. That's our job done. Got to do one last little thing. Oh, that was almost done. Sorry, I need to go back to A. Remember, we've got that line A. I nearly forgot that. Right, okay, so I need to get a true length distance from A to E. Okay, we've found E over there, so I take that true length distance from A to E. Let's just pop that in over there, right? And I need a true length distance going from 1 to A. Okay, true length distance of 1 going to A. Do I have that? Yes, I do. I've got a true length distance going from 1 to A. That comes off over here, and I go from 1 to A. There is my A over here. Wow, that was close. I nearly messed up on that. Right, nearly forgot that last little piece. There we go. There to there, and there to there, and that is complete. Super.